Tonight, the Tyler Library Advisory Board unanimously voted to keep a controversial book in the young adult section tonight.
A Tyler resident first formally requested the book People Kill People by Ellen Hopkins to be moved to the adult section back in January. Today, the board reaffirmed their decision a second time. KLTV's JD Conti has more from today's public hearing.
The Public Library Auditorium was filled Wednesday afternoon for public comments on this book, People Kill People by Ellen Hopkins. After an hour of the scheduled public meeting, the Library Advisory Board voted unanimously to keep the book in the young adult section. Those protesting wanting it moved to the adult section. So many people signed up to speak in the meeting that was scheduled for just an hour that Tyler police had to step in and end public comments. Ashley Taylor is the City of Tyler librarian and does not vote on the advisory board.
It deals with gun violence, racial issues, and there is a rape scene within the material. The book is not meant to be titillating, especially not that scene. We try to review materials based on the entirety of the work.
Taylor says the library has policies in place so parents can restrict what material their child has access to. Those who spoke against the work say it's too vulgar for the section it's in.
It's very sexually explicit and vulgar words. Someone read the excerpts today.
Marcia Graham is a retired child protective worker who spoke for keeping the book in its current place. She says material like this can help victims of tragedy speak out.
This is critical information for young people to have, and I absolutely oppose removing it, even if it's difficult, even if it's hard. It's not porn, it's real, it's life, it happens every day.
Those who want the book moved say they don't want it banned, just moved to the adult section. They are now taking the issue to city management.
The elected officials that are responsible for this library, the librarian and the staff, they're just hired people. They're not in charge of the city.
JD Conti, KLTV 7 News.
The library's policy is also to follow publisher and professional reviewer recommendations for the placement of books. The recommendation for People Kill People is for readers 14 and up.